Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 8th of September and we are going to present to you the three very important topics which are in news. These three topics are not only important from prelims point of view but also from the mains point of view. So let us look at these three topics. The first is the outcomes of ASEAN and EAS, Association of Southeast Asian Nations and East Asia Summit. As you know, our Prime Minister is visiting Indonesia for these two summits on the special request of the Indonesian President. We covered this news earlier, so this is kind of a follow-up news in which we are going to discuss what are the outcomes of the meeting. The Prime Minister proposed a 12-point formula over there, or 12-point proposals were made by the Prime Minister to the ASEAN countries, and these 12-point proposals were in the field of digital public infrastructure, connectivity, sustainable development, security, then maritime trade. All these were the, I would say, key domains these 12 points surrounded with. Then the next is Mission Life. Mission Life is a global campaign which has been proposed by India to the world. India proposed this in COP26, which happened in Glasgow in the year 2021. Now this global campaign actually aims to adopt sustainable lifestyles. Here life in Mission Life stands for lifestyle for environment. What kind of lifestyle? A sustainable lifestyle which will definitely help in sustaining the environment or conserving the environment. So we'll talk about what Mission Life is, how it is being implemented, what all are the areas on which we have to focus upon, what kind of lifestyle we need to adopt. So this is important because India presently is promoting this Mission Life in all global forums. The Prime Minister promoted this over here also in ASEAN and EAS. And finally we have the Bharat Mandapam. Now in our G20 video we talked about that I will be covering this Bharat Mandapam in later videos. It is the venue of G20 summit in New Delhi, which is just round the corner starting tomorrow. And it is the best architecture in India in the present day, according to me. It has cultural elements, showcase of culture is there, Indian culture, rich culture, heritage. On the other hand, it also boasts of our modern techniques of construction because it is a state-of-the-art facility. So it becomes very important for UPSC aspirants. And a question can be asked from this particular Bharat Mandapam, the historical connect. There's a historical connect also to Bharat Mandapam. From there also a question can be asked. So that is why it has been included. Now, the outcomes of ASEAN and EAS summits. The Prime Minister was visiting Indonesia for these summits on the special request of Indonesian President. Initially, the Prime Minister of India refused to attend and sent some representative on his behalf. But on the special request of Indonesian President, the Prime Minister went on to visit these summits or to attend these summits. The Indonesian President and officials went to such an extent that they altered the schedule of these two summits just to accommodate Indian Prime Minister's presence. Earlier, on day 1 was ASEAN Summit, on day 2 was East Asia Summit. But both of them were scheduled on a single day with a gap between them. Just imagine all this rescheduling for our Prime Minister. This clearly testifies the growing, stature of India. In countries all over the world, they want to connect with India. The key points from these outcomes can be understood in such a way that a 12-point proposal was made by the Prime Minister to these ASEAN countries, and these 12 points are revolving around infrastructure development, cross-border connectivity, sustainable development. Then it is also talking about digital public infrastructure and such like. So we'll see now in detail. Prime Minister attended the 20th ASEAN India Summit and the 18th East Asia Summit in Jakarta on 7th September 2023. See, the date is one. Both of these summits conducted on one single day. At the ASEAN India Summit, Prime Minister had extensive discussions with ASEAN partners on further strengthening of ASEAN India Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, which was established last year, and charting its future course. The Prime Minister also said that, ASEAN centrality is there in the Indo-Pacific. Now we have an initiative. That initiative is known as India's Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, IPOI. And ASEAN also has a similar kind of initiative with respect to the Indo-Pacific region. And that is ASEAN's Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, AOIP. Both of these have convergent goals, means kind of similar goals. So the Prime Minister of India talked about further converging our interests in the Indo-Pacific region by these initiatives. In addition to India and ASEAN leaders, Timor-Leste participated in the summit as an observer status. Now, observers basically are just observing, present in the meeting, observing the proceedings of the meeting without any right to vote. They cannot vote. So, Timor was invited as an observer to the meeting, which clearly signifies the rising stature of Timor also. And in the times to come, you can see ASEAN's membership expanding and Timor-Leste also being part of it. Now, the 12-point proposals which the Indian Prime Minister has kept for or in front of the ASEAN countries. Actually, the 12-point proposal for strengthening India-ASEAN cooperation covers connectivity, digital transformation, trade and economic engagement, addressing contemporary challenges, people-to-people contacts, and deepening strategic engagement. However, we'll see in detail what are these 12 points. First is establishing multimodal connectivity and economic corridor that links Southeast Asia, India, West Asia, Europe. Actually, our Prime Minister has not only said that India will be connecting with Southeast Asia. He said India will be connecting with Southeast Asia, but we want to extend this from West Asia to Europe. We want to go. We don't want to stop with this corridor here in India only. And this is obviously a step to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative. BRI it is called as. Now, a cross-country connectivity is the India-Myanmar Thailand Trilateral Highway between India and ASEAN countries. Now, if I talk about from India to Europe via West Asian countries, then we have access to Chabahar Port in Iran, Bandar-e-Abbas, where the international North-South trade corridor is coming. So, from there we have access to West Asian countries and then from there to Europe. So, we want to establish this corridor from Europe to Southeast Asia via India. Offered to share India's digital public infrastructure stack with ASEAN partners. Digital public infrastructure is basically, the backbone is Aadhaar, and on Aadhaar there are many I would say services which are based, digital services. Now India has an edge in this, and countries all over the world, they are wanting India's help particularly in this, and India has extended help to ASEAN countries. Now it depends on them up to what extent they want our help in this digital public infrastructure. Announced ASEAN India Fund for Digital Future, focusing on cooperation in digital transformation and financial connectivity. Digital transformation basically is when the government is running or ruling, the governance is physical based or paper based, and they want to transform it to digital based. Like Digital India program aims at this only, e-governance. So we are running this program since 2014, and now we have achieved some, I would say, expertise in that, and hence we are ready to offer this digital transformations or transitions to other countries as well. Again, a point linked with digital public infrastructure only. Announced renewal of support for Economic and Research Institute of ASEAN and East Asia, area it is called as. So we can fund this particular institute. It is doing research in multiple domains like security, fisheries, then deep sea mining and all. All these kind of research is being done by this particular organization. Then next is, he called for collective raising issues faced by the global south in multilateral fora. Like G20 summit is there around the corner, it is a multilateral fora. Or in any fora they go, like the UN they go. So they should be collectively talking about the concerns of the global south. Then only these will be addressed. When all will be collectively talking about it, the voice will be amplified. And when voice is amplified, people do hear those voices. This is what India is wanting to, create. Invited ASEAN countries to join Global Center for Traditional Medicine being established by WHO in India, and that is in Gujarat. Traditional medicine is nothing but Ayurveda, Yoga, Unani, Siddha. All these are traditional forms of medicine. But WHO has also recognized the importance of these traditional forms of medicines, especially post-COVID. Because during COVID, actually, yoga got a lot of prominence. In Ayurveda also, people were finding at least not cures, but at least preventive mechanisms. So this got prominence, these traditional medicine, and WHO has decided to set up a center for traditional medicine in India, in Gujarat. So Modi ji invited them to come and be participating in that. Called for working together on mission life, lifestyle for environment. About this we'll see in detail, that is the next topic only. That is why it has been included. Offered to share India's experience in providing affordable and equality medicines to people through Jan Aushadhi Kendras. Jan Aushadhi Kendras are those kendras which are disbursing generic medicines. Generic medicines are cheap medicines, but with same quality, same salt, same formulations, just they are not branded. So it reduces the out-of-pocket expenditure of the people on healthcare. Again, a people-centric approach. Then called for collective fight against terrorism, terror financing and cyber disinformation. Though this is one such problem which is impacting one and all. Developed, developing, underdeveloped, everyone is impacted by this nowadays. Invited ASEAN countries to join Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. In a last video, we covered about CDRI. CDRI is a knowledge hub or an expert house of, that information which helps make, infrastructure disaster resilient. It is headquartered in India, proposed by India in 2019. So, we are calling them to join CDRI. Called for cooperation on disaster management as well. And called for enhanced cooperation on maritime safety, security and domain awareness. These are some common points because ASEAN countries, they are located, at a very strategic location. Strait of Malacca, a very important global trade route passes through this location. So maritime safety, security, all are very crucial elements for ASEAN. And we have offered that we can partner on this as well. Now when I talk about the East Asia Summit, East Asia Summit actually has 18 members, 10 ASEAN countries. Apart from 10 ASEAN countries, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, India, China and USA, Russia. These 8 plus 8 countries. So these 18 countries were meeting for the 18th East Asia Summit. And one more thing which you need to know is East Asia Summit is ASEAN plus 8 countries. The chairmanship of East Asia Summit revolves around ASEAN only. Chairmanship does not go over here, or presidency does not go to these 8 countries. It remains within ASEAN. It is kind of a watertight compartment over here. So we talked about ASEAN centrality in EAS. It should be maintained. We also talked about free, open and rules-based Indo-Pacific. Free from dominance of any country, open for trade for all, and rules-based. Whatever the rules are, international laws are, those should be followed in the Indo-Pacific. Any country who is violating those rules should be dealt with. And any country is China, because in South China Sea, China is doing a lot of aggressions. Then Prime Minister highlighted synergies of vision for Indo-Pacific between India and ASEAN, underscored that ASEAN is the focal point of Quad's vision also. Quad is basically comprising of 4 countries in the Indo-Pacific region, to begin from the eastern side, USA, Japan, Australia and India. So, and in the center is this ASEAN countries, but ASEAN is not part of Quad, but we are saying that Quad's vision is that ASEAN is the focal point of Quad. So, we are stuck to this. Prime Minister also called for a cooperative approach to address global challenges including terrorism, climate change and resilient supply chains for essential items including food and medicines, energy security and all. So food, fuel, fertilizers, these are essential elements, 3 Fs, which have been in news since the last year. So we've called that, the cooperation should be such that, at least these essential supplies should not be hampered, because these essentials actually are the need of the people. Not only the rich, but the poor also. And if the poor don't get them, they will be the ones who will be the most impacted. So, again, an example of a human-centric approach. So, these were the outcomes of the meetings. Now, mission life. Life stands for lifestyle for environment. It is a global campaign. Campaign is kind of an advertisement which is proposed by India, accepted by the UN, proposed in 2021, COP26, Glasgow. Now, what does India want to promote through this campaign? India wants to promote sustainable lifestyle. That sustainable lifestyle will go a long way in conserving the environment. Now, if I talk about sustainable lifestyle, what is sustainable lifestyle? You are going out of the room, switch off the fan, AC and lights. This will save energy. Buy only that much clothes which you need. Not for your greed, but for your need you should buy. Conserve water. Avoid e-waste. All this is sustainable lifestyle. Use more and more public transport. These are examples of sustainable lifestyle, and India wants to promote this. India wants to impact 1 billion people in India and beyond with this campaign in its first phase. Now just imagine, 1 billion people following this sustainable lifestyle. Definitely it will have a long lasting impact, a positive impact on the environment. This is Mission Life. So let us look into the details. Mission Life is an India-led global mass movement which aims to nudge individual and collective action to protect and preserve the environment. It was proposed by our Prime Minister in the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC's COP26, COP stands for Conference of Parties, in Glasgow in 2021. Implementation, Niti Aayog in India is going to implement it for the first year, and then Niti Aayog will pass the baton to Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MOEFCC then on. Then MOEFCC will be implementing this Mission Life in India. Objective is to mobilize at least 1 billion Indians and other global citizens to take individual and collective actions. Period 2022 to 27. This is 6 years period, 5-6 years period. Within India, at least 80% of villages and urban local bodies are aimed to become environment friendly by 2028. Environment friendly means they will be using renewable energy in their offices, they will be using EVs, they will be adopting sustainable lifestyles like these. It will be a 5-year program. 2022-23 mission will focus on the phase 1. So I would say the phase 1 of mission life is just over. We have entered into the phase 2 and we are intensifying our efforts. In the time to come, you will see more and more on mission life because it is a global campaign and campaigns are made successful. At least by this government, they are successful. Now, what kind of actions we need to take? Actions are divided into 7 categories. First is saving of energy. Energy should be saved. You can use LED bulbs, you can close the lights, fans, ACs when you are not using them. Water to be saved. Use those kind of taps which release less water. If taps are not working properly, then those should be repaired. Then single use of plastics to be reduced because single use plastics are not biodegradable. They linger on in the environment. They are there in the environment, polluting the environment for eternity. Then sustainable food styles to be adopted. We should reduce food wastage. We should, consume only that much. We should try to consume vegetarian food only because non-vegetarianism promotes a lot of, I would say, global warming. Then fifth is waste reduce. Waste should be reduced in such a way that waste is segregated in your homes. Wet waste separate, dry waste separate. Wet waste can be converted into fertilizers. Dry waste can be recycled and can be reused. But if it is accumulated, neither it will be converted into fertilizers, nor it will be recyclable. It will just end up in the mountains of trash, which will again lead to problems. Then healthy lifestyles to be adopted. You should be doing plantation of trees. You should be walking so much and much, or you should be using more and more of the public transport. Then e-wastage should be reduced. How e-wastage should be reduced? You should be buying more and more sustainable products, and in quantity also you should be buying those much products only which are actually useful for you, because this e-waste is going to be the next big problem the world is going to face. So we are wanting to promote all these kind of sustainable lifestyles through Mission Life, proposed by India in 2021, accepted by United Nations, target year 2027-28 to mobilize or to impact 1 billion lives in India and beyond. So this is the objectives of Mission Life. Bharat Mandapam, the venue for G20 summit in India, the, I would say, best architecture marvel in India in the present day time. Bharat Mandapam is the state-of-the-art building which showcases the glory of our culture as well as our infrastructural might, because modern day technology is used, modern infrastructure is created, and with this tinge of culture in that. Bharat Mandapam has been inspired from a historical episode. That historical episode dates back to the 12th century. 12th century, there was an institution named as Anubhav Mandapam. It was established and it is known as the world's and India's obviously oldest parliament. It was established in the 12th century in South India. So let us look into this by further details. The International Exhibition Convention Center IECC complex named as Bharat Mandapam is located at Pragati Maidan in New Delhi. The IECC complex is India's largest MICE. MICE stands for Meetings, Incentives, Conferences and Exhibitions destination, and features state-of-the-art facilities including convention center, exhibition halls and an amphitheater. Now I was watching a video in which I saw that this Bharat Mandapam has a very big hall. It is dedicated for the media persons coming from all across the world to cover the G20 summit. Now they have workstations over there where these media persons can sit and do their work. Charging points and all are there for their laptops. And on the side there are multiple soundproof rooms In those rooms, they can go, they can, video record themselves, do the live coverage. All these things or all these facilities are available in this Bharat Mandapam. It is going to leave an everlasting impact on the minds of the visitors who are coming. And this is what India wants to do. So, it includes many state-of-the-art facilities like a convention center, exhibition halls, and an amphitheater. The architectural design of convention center incorporates elements from India's traditional art and culture, representing the nation's rich heritage and modern achievements. Significance: Bharat Mandapam is the venue for G20 Summit 2023. So, nation's rich culture and modern architecture is also there. Now, this is Bharat Mandapam which has been constructed. A unique design and shape. The staircase going to it, the fountains over here, it looks grand. If you ever get a chance, do visit this place as soon as possible. Now, this is again the same, but the change is this. The statue of Nataraja. It is the world's tallest Nataraja statue which has been installed on the entrance of Bharat Mandapam. And just 1 or 2 days ago, this has been installed. And that is why I've kept this image as separate, so you should be knowing it. And in the future videos, we will be covering a bit about Nataraja also. Now, the historical connection of Bharat Mandapam. As I told you, it is derived from Lord Basaveshwara's concept of Anubhav Mantapa. Anubhav Mantapa is a 12th century institution. What is it, Anubhav Mantapa? It is considered one of the earliest parliaments in human history, where poets and socio-spiritual reformers known as Sharanas discussed and deliberated various reforms in the society. Remember, Indian society was not a modern society at that time. It was a traditional society only, and then there were many issues like caste-based discrimination, division of the society on basis of caste. All these were there, the issues which were plaguing the society at that time, and they were wanting to tackle it through this parliament, that was Anubhav Mantapa. Who was the, I would say, founding father of Anubhav Mantapa? It was none other than Lord Basaveshwara. He was there from 1134 till 1196, also known as Basavana, was a 12th century poet, philosopher and social reformer from Bagewadi, Karnataka. He was appointed as Prime Minister by the Kalachuri king Bijala. And when he became the Prime Minister, he established Anubhav Mantapa, the world's oldest parliament, where they used to discuss reforms in the society. He was also the founder of Lingayatism. You might have heard about this term, Lingayats. Lingayats are a dominant society in present day also in Karnataka. Around 17% of Karnataka's population is Lingayats. The term Lingayats denotes a person who wears a personal linga, an iconic form of the god Shiva on the body, which is received during the initiation ceremony. Now, this is a linga. This is the person wearing this linga. This person is known as Lingayat. Now, they are the dominant group in Karnataka, said to be around 17% of the population in the state. Advocated for a society free of caste system, because this was the social reform they wanted to do in Anubhav Mantapa and were successful up to a certain extent, with equal opportunity for all, and preached about manual hard work as well. So this was Lord Basaveshwara, known as the founding father of India's and the world's oldest parliament, that is Anubhav Mantapa. Anubhav Mantapa, which has inspired the Bharat Mandapa. Bharat Mandapa, where the G20 summit is going to happen. So, this is it from today's session. I will be meeting you with more such exciting and informative content tomorrow. Till then, keep studying, keep reading, keep revising, and most importantly, keep writing. Jai Hind, take care.